Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we are looking at a couple of popular electrified crossovers. That is the 2022 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, and that's the 2022 Ford Escape plug-in hybrid. And in this video, we're gonna compare them. So we'll go through all the features, all the specs, and then we have to talk about whether or not you should get a hybrid with a plug or without one.
So up next, the test for the Tucson. Will Steve fit? Here we go.
All right, let's find out. First, let me tell you about the baby seat situation. I don't have my kid seats with me today, but I'll just let you know there is a lower latch anchor on both sides, and there are 3 top tethers, and that's about the best you can ask for from a crossover like this. And now let me climb in. So this is 41.3 inches of leg room, and honestly, it's pretty nice. I have just enough headroom. I stand at 6'2". We do have the panoramic sunroof here. This is my driving position. I was driving up there and my knees are not even touching. So yeah, you know what? On first blush, this is a really comfortable back seat and I could sit back here indefinitely, no problem. Now let's go get in the Ford and we'll see what it's like. Now into the Ford Escape. First of all, when it comes to baby seats, identical situation. 2 lower latch anchors and 3 top tethers. Now let's climb. So, on paper, this is about 2.5 inches less leg room than the Hyundai. But I have to tell you, it feels just about the same, and that is to say, really good. I'm comfortable in here. I'm not touching the ceiling. We do have the panoramic sunroof here. I'm not touching this seat, which was set up for myself. And there is one thing the Ford does that the Hyundai doesn't do. These seats actually adjust. So if I wanted to, I could pull all the way forward and give myself more cargo space, or if I want, I can go all the way back and get maximum leg room. I definitely appreciate the second row adjustability here in the Ford, but honestly, even though the numbers are a little different in the real world, the back seats here, really similar, and that is to say, really good. Let's look at the reverse camera here in the Ford Escape, and well, you really only get one view, that reverse view. You can zoom it in though, and you do get a hitch guidance line, which is nice for hooking up a trailer, but a basic view, and then you do also get the reverse sensors there as you back into something.
Over here in the Tucson, when we put her in reverse, well, we get the standard backup camera as well as the bird's eye complete 360 camera, but we actually get several options over here. We have a straight down view that can kind of be used for backing up close to things, the original view, and then you get individual sides of the car if you're packing into a tighter space and you want to see where you are. So it gives you lots of options, including a zoom feature if you really want to get in close.
Cool. Okay folks, now here we are in the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, actually driving, and you'll notice it's Matthew with me today, not Dad. Dad took off for Texas because it got too cold for him here, so the next month on the channel you're going to be seeing a lot more of Matthew.
Sorry in advance.
Dad's not around to help. So let's talk about these crossovers, and the thing I want to start with is talking about the differences, because there are some major differences here. I said the first one off the top, the Ford here is a plug-in hybrid, the Tucson is just a standard hybrid, and you should know that Hyundai does have a plug-in hybrid Tucson. I wish we could have had it here, but like usual, we're limited to, you know, whatever they offer us, so that's why we took these 2 vehicles. But I do think it's an interesting comparison talking about a hybrid versus a plug-in, and we'll get more into that. Now, another major difference, the Escape here, front wheel drive. And if you get the plug-in, it's front wheel drive only, Matt. They don't even give you an option which is a little bit frustrating. You know, you'd think that with the electric setup, you'd be able to get it because other automakers offer it, but not Ford.
And we certainly saw here right off the top after we finished shooting our intro, just getting out of our driveway.
Yeah, we might as well roll the footage now. You know what? I just happened to be parked right onto icy, snowy sections, and the front wheel drive couldn't do it. Now, of course, I backed up a little bit and got a run at it and got out. But yeah, you know what? You just cannot deny that the all-wheel drive in the wintertime is going to be more confidence-inspiring, and you're never going to have any of those issues.
Absolutely.
So those are all the differences, and now I think we have to get to the price right off the top. Basically talking about a $5,000 difference.
Yeah.
And when it comes to features, very similar. I mean, we have digital gauge clusters, we have wireless charging, we have the biggest touchscreens here in the middle you can get, we have leather seats, heated seats, so all that's really similar. That $5,000 in my mind basically goes to the plug, you know?
It goes to drivetrain.
Yeah, it goes
a larger battery, more components to accommodate the charging, and yeah, that little bit of EV driving range that you're going to get.
But I think what it comes down to is your lifestyle, and because a plug-in hybrid suits a lifestyle of a short commuter, somebody who does, you know, maybe 20 miles every single day, because if that's what you do Monday to Friday, you will never use gasoline. That's the exact idea. And then on the weekend you're heading to the cottage or the cabin, you do get into that gas. So yeah, whether the $5,000 is worth it is actually more dependent on your driving style and your lifestyle.
Yeah, certainly the plug-in hybrid seems to be the stepping stone for people considering the electric vehicle, considering the jump. It eliminates the range anxiety.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to worry about it. Oh, the battery's, you know, dead. Cool. We'll just keep driving.
Yep.
So when we do talk fuel consumption in both of these vehicles, we have to mention, well, what are they rated for? And now here in the Ford, we are rated for 40 miles per gallon combined, versus over there in the Tucson Hybrid, we're rated for 37 miles per gallon combined. Now, it's a very slight difference, and I would have expected to see more with the plug-in, but I think what we have here today is we have a Ford on a 0% battery and a Tucson Hybrid, so we're going to do a little fuel economy run and compare them straight up hybrid to hybrid.
And now time for our real-world fuel economy test, and I got to tell you, the Ford was a bit better. We managed 4.7 liters per 100 over about 24 kilometers, but look, half of that was all electric, and keep in mind, that's with a dead battery. The battery was absolutely drained, and yet it still managed to run half of the trip on all electric, which is pretty impressive. Now you can see the number in the Tucson, which was still pretty good, a little bit over 5 liters per 100, but still, going for the Ford with just front wheel drive and with the plug means that overall fuel efficiency is going to be better here in the Escape.
In most automotive reviews that you might watch, you're going to see guys do exhaust note records to hear how cool things sound. Well, we got something cool, and this might be a world's first exclusive. We're comparing hybrid vehicle noises. Check them out here.
As you might know, those noises are actually mandated by the government. The government says that if you have a vehicle that can move under just electric power, it has to produce a noise, basically for pedestrian safety. They want people to hear it. And what's funny, Matt, is I'm assuming it's the same supplier that supplies most companies, because it's that weird spaceship noise. But there was a difference between the Hyundai spaceship noise and the Ford spaceship noise. So yeah, you guys can comment below what you liked.
Equally ethereal.
As Matthew mentioned, we do have both top trim vehicles here, so we can kind of compare the interiors now. And I think my big takeaway is, well, there's two actually. The first one is that Ford is having a little bit more fun. We got the two-tone seats, we got this kind of fake wood applique on the dash. I think it looks pretty good. Hyundai these days is very executive, very serious with its interiors, and that's what the Tucson is, right? It's just all the piano black and chrome finish. I don't know. To me, the Ford looks a little bit better. I like the splash of color, but that's subjective. The one thing I will say, though, that I don't think is subjective, the Ford has real buttons. Hyundai, for whatever reason, has totally moved away from actual buttons and knobs. It's all touch buttons, and I don't know, Matt, I just struggle with it. I prefer having a volume knob. I prefer hitting these buttons for my HVAC. Sometimes the Hyundai, you don't know exactly where you are. I don't prefer ergonomically that setup.
See, I may sit a little more Team Hyundai on this one then. Yeah, they've gone with the basic sleek black and chrome, but if you look at the accents, and we'll show you a couple here, they've machined these patterns into them, these diamonds, these cross hatches, they've kind of spiced it up a little versus say a German car that is just a flat black across, you know, the dashboard. I really like that. It's sleek yet kind of feels refined. But I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree either. I wish there was some physical buttons still.
Especially just a volume knob. That's the one that drives me the most
Just
crazy.
something, because I always find myself, I don't know, maybe it's my finger, but I find myself hitting them 3 or 4 times sometimes to react.
Yeah. One thing we do have here in the Ford, though, that the Hyundai doesn't have, a head-up display. And now, I won't complain about it. I do appreciate having it. I don't know why they do this little chintzy plastic screen that raises up, why they just can't put it on the windshield like other head-up displays. But anyways, I would still rather have it than not, so kudos to Ford. It's almost ironic because it's a plug-in hybrid, but it has a sport mode. So we're in sport mode. We're going to feel the power.
All right, let's go for a takeoff.
Ready? This is almost dry here, so hopefully it won't get too much spin.
Well, a little bit of spin with that front wheel drive, but that's all right. It hooked up.
There it goes.
It sticks you in your seat.
Yeah, it's honestly not bad. It's not bad. It is a CVT here, and it was a pretty typical CVT. You could really feel the transmission go, wah, and then the vehicle kind of catches up, but that was more than enough power.
It is interesting, too, that the Hyundai keeps the 6-speed with the hybrid drivetrain.
It is interesting,
because most hybrid drivetrains have gone CVT or eCVT, as the case may be. And it's still interesting to have those shift points and not think, oh, they're programmed in. No, they exist.
Yeah.
There's an actual transmission underneath me still.
Yeah. And you know what? That said, why don't we go hop in the Hyundai now and we'll see how it compares. Now we are driving in the Tucson, and just talking about the overall drive, my impression from over here in the passenger seat, they're really similar. Quiet, comfortable. And then the other thing I really always appreciate about a hybrid is that when frankly you don't notice that it's a hybrid, and that was also my experience in the Ford. I didn't feel like the brakes were too touchy. I didn't feel like the regen was grabbing you too much. So I guess I'll put that over to you now, Matt. Here in the Hyundai, do you feel like it's kind of a different experience than a standard Hyundai non-hybrid, or does the hybrid system get in the way, I guess is what I'm asking?
Hyundai's hybrid system, at least has been in my experience, it's very seamless. If I didn't tell you it was there, besides the occasional, oh, hey, the engine didn't start, you really wouldn't know it was even equipped on the vehicle. And I really enjoy that. The one difference I'm noticing from being in the Ford first getting in here is I feel like we're sitting up higher. I feel like our seating position is more SUV-like, and we're up off the ground a little bit more. Whereas the Escape kind of felt, like you were mentioning, more passenger car and comfortable. Both comfortable still, but just a little different as far as your eye lines.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think part of that too is it feels like there's just more glass here, right? A little more greenhouse, whereas the Ford kind of cuts off a little bit. This, you do feel like you're getting a bigger, kind of airier vehicle. So we do have drive modes here in the Tucson as well, and we're gonna go ahead and put her in sport mode. It's funny that both these hybrids have sport. Sure, let's feel the power.
Alrighty, so we're on relatively dry pavement, and here we go.
Ooh, better.
Power gauge went right to the red line there. You can really feel the difference with that all-wheel drive. Like, we were basically in the same spots, and there was no spin there whatsoever.
Absolutely hooked up. And then you felt like you got a bit more of that electric power. But then the other thing, Matt, is the CVT. You notice the lack of the CVT. Because the Ford, and it's kind of not a great sounding engine either than the Ford. You kind of just went, wah, whereas here in the Hyundai, very much more typical, the revs and the shifts. So, yeah, the Hyundai definitely felt a little bit quicker and maybe a little more smoother. I think that's safe to say.
It took off nicer. There was certainly some, while it was trying to figure out its traction control issues, that CVT kind of hunted a little bit on the Ford. Here it was just grab, go, let's race.
After driving these vehicles for an entire day now, my big takeaway is they are quite similar. Interior space, the way they drive, the way the powertrains feel are a little bit different, but I mean, they really achieve the same things. Now, here in the Hyundai, of course, you could get a plug if you wanted it, and on the flip side, in the Ford, you can get a standard Escape hybrid, but that standard Escape hybrid is all-wheel drive, so if you need all-wheel drive from Ford, you can get it, just not with a plug. And again, personally for me, front-wheel drive is fine, even in the winter time. A front-wheel drive vehicle with snow tires like we had it today does perform pretty well. So yeah, these two are really marketed at the family that's looking to save a few bucks at the fuel pump. And I think both companies do a nice job, but let's get home now and we'll wrap this up and I'll tell you which one you should buy. Well, we have arrived at the end of this one, folks. So to answer the question I asked off the top, should you get a plug or not get a plug, there's no clear-cut answer there. It has everything to do with how much you drive. I say if you do a lot of kilometers, go for a standard hybrid. But if you're commuting something like 40, 50 kilometers every day, go for the plug-in. That's really gonna depend on your lifestyle. Now, with these two vehicles as they sit right here, which one would I buy? Well, I'm leaning towards this Ford Escape. I prefer the interior. I think it looks a little bit more fun, more playful, and then plus the buttons in there and the ergonomics are just straight up better in the Hyundai, at least to me. So for those reasons, I'm going with the Escape. But now, of course, I want to hear what you think, so please go in the comments, let me know why you think I'm right or wrong, and then as always, make sure while you're down there, hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.